welcome to Rangers Radio. Join myself, Fox Chair, this evening on the show, this 1980s show, is Linda and Southside, a.k. Dempsey and Makepeace. How we doing, boys and girls?
Evening, Oxchair, evening, Southside, evening, everyone. Hope you're all well.
Aye, good, mate. Evening, Ox and Linda and everybody else out there tonight. Aye, good, mate.
Aye. I'm looking forward to this. How are you used to? Yeah?
Yeah, good. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Aye, mate. Looking forward to it. See where it takes us.
Just had a message from a certain person. Somebody from Drumchapel says, Durham Ox. A bit of team spirit.
All I can say to that is at least we've got the right players in the right era and no trying to...
Oh, as you know, mate, that's went to the compliance officer. It's went above Fox's head and there's been cases put forward. I'm saying it doesn't look good for the 70s team.
Oh.
It doesn't look, they've been caught Port Seaton. Either that or their arithmetic's that poor they couldn't count it up.
I heard Alberon trying to justify it, but I couldn't see that myself, to be honest. It was a poor argument.
Yeah, all right. So used to 1980s, it was a decade of change in society, Linda.
Oh, absolutely. When you think about it, from football to fashion to music, politics, and I just remember the big hair as well, Ox. That was something to behold, wasn't it?
Oh, that's just me in Southside.
Oh, there's a few mullets about.
Up until the 80s, it was brow cream, then it was mousse and gel.
Oh, goodness.
I don't gel.
Right, okay. Right, same format. We'll get your team, we'll talk around it, we'll see if there's any controversy, see if you can count up and work out. You had one criteria that the guys that you picked had to have played the majority of their football in the 1980s. That's the 1st of January 1980 to the 31st of December 1989. Pretty simple.
Yep.
Aye.
So.
Aye, well, there's a favour. I'm going to text Albert and JFK and let them know it's pretty simple. Right. Okay, so we'll start with the goalkeeper and we'll take it for there.
Right, so I think I'm kicking this one off. So our goalkeeper is Chris Woods. Mm-hmm. And we didn't really have a lot of debate about that, Ox. We were quite happy that Chris Woods was the best goalie that we could pick. He made, enough appearances. We thought his ability was, brilliant. And we were quite happy to have Chris Woods in as our number one.
I bet you were happier than Southside.
Yes, particularly, yes, the blonde hair and the physique and everything else, yes. But I better not say that on radio.
You just have. Right, okay. He joined us at the start of Soonest Revolution. Played into the 90s as well, but obviously played the majority of his football in the 1980s. One of the finest goalkeepers we ever had, Southside.
He's up there, mate. Aye, he's certainly up there. He was, for the goalkeepers, like we said, in the choice that we're picking, it was either Jim Stewart or Nicky Walker. So, aye, when you look at that, it was a class above any of the two, and international as well, mate. Made a big difference to the defence when he came in. Great signing by Soonest at the time.
Question for both of you: do you think if the three foreigners rule when they came in that we might not have signed Andy Gorham and Chris Woods would have been with us longer?
Would have been with us longer, yeah, definitely.
Aye, mate, I think that would have been the case. It's just that the rules were changing again, wasn't it? But aye, definitely.
230 games for the Rangers in goals. 1986-87 season, 54 appearances. He's 52, 39, 37 and 1990-91, 48. So regular with his appearances. How many goals, Linda?
Oh, I don't know, Ox, I'm sorry.
One missed penalty, Southside. Do you remember it? Valletta?
Aye. Aye.
You were up to take the
by
penalty.
The post.
Oh, that's right, yeah. I thought you meant how many goals conceded, Ox.
Oh, no. I'm not getting that much time in my hands during the day. Count all that up.
He also had he set the British record, didn't he, for minutes without conceding a goal? Was that correct?
That's correct. Aye, that's also correct. Great start there. I don't know if you remember the game at home to Hamilton, and we kept a clean sheet for so long. We passed the ball about the first half, made sure we kept a clean sheet. We should put it in the net, made sure we get through the game first, Southside.
Aye, that was a shocker that day. It's probably bringing me on to one of my next players, actually. I was wondering when that one was coming. That kill was Adrian Sproat, wasn't it? Hamilton. That was a shocker that day. It was certainly not expected, especially under the soonest with the way we were going that season. But things happen. It's a cup tie, innit? And as I've said, anybody can win a cup or put you a cup.
It's one off. Chris Woods, couldn't argue with that. Great choice. Early 80s, who would you went for if it was up to before Chris? Nicky Walker, Jim Stewart, still big gas meter as well.
Yeah, he was still there as well, wasn't he? I know that the 70s guys had Peter McCloy, but yeah, we definitely looked at Nicky Walker and we also looked at Jim Stewart, didn't we, Southside?
Aye, we looked at Jim Stewart, Linda, and also Nicky Walker. Jim Stewart there, early 80s, I think his debut was at Ibrox against Dundee United. We get beat 4-1. It could have been more that night if it wasn't for him. But Jim Stewart played a lot of games, and then Nicky Walker came in. His dad owned the shortbread company, wasn't it?
Aye, that's right.
Walker Shortbread.
That's right, yeah.
And Nicky Walker came in and played a while for us. But when we looked at it and the amount of games and obviously quality of goalkeeper, we were both in agreement at Chris Woods.
Okay, big tick in the box for me. Great choice. So how are you setting this team up, Linda?
Well, we're going with a back three, and then we're going with 4 in the midfield and 3 up front.
All right. Just for Jimmy and Albert, that's 3 and 3 is 6 and 4's 10 and 1's 11. All right. Okay, so Gay's your right hand defender, yeah.
On the right hand side, somebody that signed for the club in 1980, I believe, from Gartcosh United, and it's Davy McPherson.
Right. It's unusual to get. He went obviously where he came from. He was brought up. It's unusual to get decent sportsmen for that part of the world.
But Southside, you mean? Our big man came in. The way we're setting the system up, the criteria was, the way I seen it and Linda seen it was amount of games you played in the 80s in the decade at the time. And I know you had 2 spells, but we put Dave McPherson in. We looked at others that we could have put in. Davy McKinnon, Ali Dawson could have probably featured in there. Jimmy Nicholl.
Yeah, Gary Stevens. Yeah.
Gary Stevens, I don't know if he qualified. We weren't sure. So we didn't want to do a Jimmy and Albert, so we kept it. That was people that was going to hang me. So we've got Dave McPherson in there, mate. That's what we put in.
All right, okay. Dave McPherson, who's been on the show, very good on the show. Come across off air as well, real nice guy. 330 games for the club, 19 substitutes appearances, 311 starts. Made his debut as a 17-year-old in 238 days in the League Cup tie against Brecon City on the 23rd of the 9th, 1981, Southside. I don't think people would realise. And the crowd that night at Ibrox was 5,000. And we won the first tie 5-0, and we won the second tie 1-0 with a goal from John McDonald. The Rangers team that night was Jim Stewart, John McClelland, Ali Dawson, Tom Forsyth, Dave McPherson, Ian Redford, David Cooper, Bobby Russell, Gordon Dale, John McDonald, Tommy McLean with substitutes, Billy Mackay and Billy Davis. So there was a couple of guys for that part of the world in that team. But aye, Big Slim, great career with his mate. Obviously came to the fore around about 80, started playing in the team 82, 83, then 83, 84, a real regular appearances. And then was part of the soonest let him go, then brought him back. Southside.
It was probably he was in probably at the time because we still had like Colin Jackson and that at the time, Tam Forsyth and that. They were still about the team when he'd come in, obviously as a 17-year-old, and then obviously got more starts the season after and after that, and then he sort of broke into the team. He played a lot of games, mate, and he'd done a job in the right hand side. And at the start, like I said, it was tough for everybody that sort of came in around about the early 80s for the team. I mean, you're sort of talking about the crowds there as well. 5,000, you know. The crowds at some points right through the 80s, apart from a few games, were pretty low, you know. That's something that I didn't think about it at the time because I was just excited to be going to the game and watch the Rangers. But when you look back, obviously, when you seen the difference from when Graham Souness came in later on, you know. But I just thought Big Slim deserved a shout in the team, mate. Me and Linda.
Yeah. Well, left us in 87, come back in 92 after the European Championships. We developed into an internationalist with Hearts. So you've got to take your hat after the big man. Linda,
Yeah, absolutely. Was it something like 27 caps for Scotland?
Yeah.
And I think you were talking to him about that. And as Southside said, at the early 80s, it was a difficult period for the club. You know, we won some cups, but we weren't really challenging for the league. So I think Dave McPherson, he won the League Cup. I think it was 83, 84 and 84, 85. But I just remember him being, you know, he was very tall, wasn't he? A good header of the ball in both boxes. And as Southside said, he filled in at right back at times, so that's why we put him in the right hand side of that back three there.
I've been hard to argue with that. I think he played at right back a bit for us, and he played at centre back. I think he even played in midfield for us. Scored 4 goals, funny enough, for Letter again in a different tie away from home when he sort of first came to the fore, Southsider.
I believe that's still a European record, mate. I think that's still a record, 4 goals in a European game as a Rangers player. I might be wrong, but I think it is. This was a Valletta game. I think we beat them 8-0 away, and I think it was 10-0 at Ibrox. My memory's right when about that one at 18-0 aggregate, I think.
Aye. And obviously he went to Italian 90 and then Euro 92. So you've got to take your hats after him, man. Got to take your hats after him. He done his stuff, won the medals and got the caps. Okay. That's a reasonable tick for me. Aye, if you're playing 3 at the back, I'll go with that. Right, okay, we'll move to the left now.
Left back, we went for somebody else that played quite a number of games, signed for us in February 1984. Bit of an unsung hero, I thought. It was 2 seasons, I thought he was absolutely outstanding for us. He came into the team after John McClelland left, because McClelland had played centre back but had been playing left back. And the guy I've picked is the guy we picked, Stuart Monroe.
Okay. I get where you're coming from. Stuart Monroe, a guy that Souness tried. I mean, I don't know how many players Souness tried to get Stuart out of the team, but he just kept coming back, and for a period he was one of our most consistent players. Linda.
Yeah, and he was definitely a fan's favourite, wasn't he? Because at one point I think he was probably, you know, one of the very few that wasn't an internationalist that was actually playing in our team under Souness. You know, he became part of a really successful period for the club. And I think eventually when he left, it was David Robertson that replaced him from what I remember. But yeah, he was, as Southside said, a bit of an unsung hero, but played a really unbelievable amount of games and won lots of trophies. So he probably really proud of his time at Rangers.
Yeah, 237 games, 10 as substitutes. 10 as a substitute, 3 goals. Obviously started his career 21 was 1983, so under the big jock signed him, and then obviously didn't get a lot of appearances too. Then 1737, and then the Souness revolution. Souness' first season, he played 53 games outside.
Wow.
I don't know what happened to him, mate. He just seemed to take off. Maybe playing with better players beside him. But it was a good season and a half, 2 seasons for us. He was absolutely outstanding at left back. So I put him in there just because of the criteria and the amount of games. And for £30,000 for Alwa, and I think we got our money's worth out of him, I think, in the long run, eh?
Aye, no arguing with me, but I don't know about your setup there with the way you played and the balance of your team. Would you not been more suited to John McClelland?
We could have went with John McClelland. He was there for good player, played centre back and left back. We did speak about him.
Yeah.
We did consider him, but we just thought Stuart Monroe played there longer at the club at the time. He was there through the bad times when we weren't winning a lot, especially the league, and then obviously turned it around. But he was successful in the time he was there, and that was the only reason we sort of tipped it to Stuart Monroe.
All right, adjusted the way you're setting your team up, but aye, fair enough, mate. John McClelland, 155 games for us in the 80s. Northern Ireland, became Northern Ireland captain of the great 82 World Cup, and left us in 1985 for Watford, and was very consistent down there. I think we had a wee fight about money, Southside.
I think he was wanting paid. I think it was pretty noted. I think back at that time it was about £350 we were paying players, and I think Jimmy Nick was getting more than that, being an Irish international, and obviously John McClelland coming back for the World Cup and stuff, thought he should get the same, and I believe he wasn't willing to pay it, or he was wanting the same, and it didn't materialise, and he obviously left. And when he left, we noticed it, mate, because he had played well at left back as well at that time in the team, and obviously Stuart Monroe came in. But I think the first few games at that time we were losing goals for the left back position. It was noticeable when he left, mate, but he was a good player, and he could easily have went into the team on that side at left back. But like I say,
went on the draw because of the number of games. Aye, okay.
That's it.
John McClelland's left last game. You remember that, Southside?
No.
Let's just say, didn't he play in defence?
He played up front. Did he play up front?
Yes.
Aye. I can't think who against.
Inter Milan, Ibrox.
Inter Milan, that's right, so it was.
A famous game at Ibrox where we beat them 3-1. Obviously they beat us 4-3 in aggregate. The team that night was McCloy, Dawson, McClelland, McPherson, Patterson, Redford, McKinnon, Fraser, Ian Ferguson. That's Ian Ferguson for Dundee. Davy Mitchell, Robert Pritz and McCoy stood. Stuart Monroe were the subs. And 3 goals. Dave Mitchell scored in the 5th minute. I think they equalised from memory, and then we went 3-1 up. We needed 2 more goals to take us through. And we battered them, and they had a good side, but we went out ultimately. All right, okay. All right, it'll be for others to judge you. But I think your balance is wrong there, but a good choice as a player, Stuart Monroe. Right, move into centre-back.
So our centre-back is the one and only Terry Butcher. With no debate about that, we wanted to have Terry Butcher in. Signed for us obviously in 1986, also part of the Sooners Revolution Ox. Became our captain. Great leader, fantastic player, brave, everything that you would want from a captain, and obviously helped us win our first league title in 9 years. So we were quite happy to have Terry Butcher in the centre.
Oh, it was a game changer, Southside, when he appeared there.
Aye, that was a massive signing, wasn't it? Getting England's captain to come up the road.
Was he England's captain, or was he a guy that had captained England?
No, he captained England, I think, at the time. Aye.
Wasn't he England?
Brian Robson would it have been at that time, eh? Aye. But what a signing when he came up here. I think he was a wee bit reluctant at first. I think he said that himself. He wasn't too sure. But once he came up and he'd signed that, he certainly got the feel of the club and understood it. And what a signing.
Question for you both. Obviously, Butcher broke his leg in his second season. I think it was against Aberdeen, actually. I think he kicked Big Ek, didn't he? And ended up breaking his leg.
Just in front of the dugouts, wasn't it? That was about there.
From memory. And if he hadn't broke his leg that year, could we have went deeper in that European Cup?
Aye, probably, mate, aye, because he was playing at the top of his form at the time, wasn't we? It was a massive blow, wasn't it? You know, but I think it was just in front of the dugout. Maybe it happened near the touchline. I think from memory. But a giant of a player, wasn't it? He was intimidating everything, you know. He had a presence, obviously, in the park as well and in the dressing room. It'd be a huge influence for the players that we had at that time. And as soon as he's bringing them up the road and you're suddenly finding Terry Butcher's in your dressing room at that time, you know.
He only scored 10 goals for his London. I think he must have scored more own goals.
Yeah. I mean, I remember a couple of his goals. He obviously... he got the goal that actually got the 1-1 draw, didn't he, at Pittodrie, you know, when we won that first title. I was also thinking as well, Ox, you were saying we could have went further in Europe. Do you think it maybe cost us the league, the 87-88 season as well? Do you think if we had had Butcher, we might not have lost the league that season?
Well, I'll tell you what, we would have been a lot closer. Yeah. We ended up third that year, behind Hearts. Yeah, definitely went closer and deeper in all the competitions because he had such a presence, the guy. And he was a good player as well, Southside.
Aye, definitely. It's good on the deck and that stuff, but it's just one of the ones that happened. I just think, I do believe we'd have got there. I would have been 11 in a row that time going through if we hadn't broke his leg, wouldn't it? We would have done that. It was just at the time. It was just it just happened. But aye, for a guy to come up to us, mate, at that time in his career, it was a massive. It was obviously the Laura Souness. That was obviously the start, and then with Chris Woods. But it was great for the time that we had him up here. Certainly bought into the club.
Yeah. So aye, it wasn't ways as long as people would think. Left us in 1990. Went to Coventry. It was quite a shock at the time, just after the World Cup, and I don't think he played many games after that. Big Terry, you know, he went to Coventry and then his career petered out and he went into management, but I don't think anybody could argue with that choice in the 1980s team. Yeah,
I think it was something to do with it. I think it was something to do with an injury, didn't he? So as soon as thought he could have played and he was injured, wasn't it? So that soured a wee bit of the relationship.
I remember back in the day, maybe Rangers story, maybe shouldn't have went to Italia 90.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but there we go. Let's go forward. So give us your defence then.
McPherson on the right, Butcher in the middle, Stuart Monroe on the left.
Okay, so you've got 4 in midfield?
Aye, we've got 4. 4 across the midfield, yeah.
Okay, so give us your right hand side of midfield.
Rolls Royce, Bobby Russell.
Oh, Bobby Russell. Linda, what a football player.
Yeah, absolutely. As Southside said, a bit of a Rolls Royce, a very elegant player. When I was looking at some of the stats, I wasn't aware of the actual number of goals he scored as well. Ox, 28 goals. And obviously he, you know, when Souness came in, I think that was kind of the end for Russell, wasn't it? He played obviously the majority of his games in the first part of the 80s. So again, you know, we weren't challenging for the league, but we've obviously won a few cups. But I just remember what I do remember of Bobby Russell. He was a lovely footballer, a cracking player.
Aye, I mean, obviously signed for Shettleston Juniors in 1977, made his debut that August, and just got into the team and just took off. First season, straight for junior football. The season before, 1 appearance, and then the next season, 48 appearances, 3 goals, 33 in the league, and a treble winning team. 21 years of age, and the way he played the game was just excellent. Southside, excellent footballer.
Aye, to come for junior football, mate, you seen the size of him when he first came into the team, wasn't he? He was just like a wee boy, dead skinny. Great vision.
He never changed.
No, I know. Obviously, he had success in the late 70s with the treble winning team and that, and then obviously we're talking more for the 80s when he came in, and obviously was part of the the cup winning team in '81 against Dundee United. But he was elegant. He could pass. It's just the team at times struggled at that sort of time during that period. But he was a good player. Scored some good goals. Goals against Hearts at Ibrox. Flipped one over a Hearts player and volleyed it in from outside the box. There's a few goals that you can actually catch on YouTube, and if you look at some of the finishes, they're brilliant. But he was a good player, mate, and to come from the junior game right into the senior game and perform the way he did, I thought he was an excellent player. A bit like Stephen Davis in a way, mate. You know, the way he just sort of takes the ball, makes passes simple. But he certainly wouldn't be a tackler for you in the middle of the park or anything like that. He wouldn't tackle.
No, he would steal the ball. He wouldn't go in for crunching tackles. But a bit of a travesty. No international caps.
I was just going to ask that box. Aye.
A real travesty. One of the others. I mean, there's a few in my history, but how he never got at least one cap, you know, because I think international football would have suited him. So he's such an intelligent footballer. And then his first couple of seasons at the club, he won 5 out of 6 trophies in offer. And in the second season, 1978-79, when we were robbed of another treble because of fixtures congestion, he played 62 games. Linda, 62 games.
I mean, that's amazing. It's kind of on parallel with what the guys are playing in the teams now, isn't it? You know, we think we've got a lot of fixtures that our guys are playing, like people like Connor Golson, you know, Stephen Davis. But when you think about those sort of numbers as well, Ox, they were obviously playing a lot of games back then too. So their fitness levels must have been something else.
Well, the League Cup and the Scottish Cup, Southside, in that season 78-79. Obviously, the final went to 2 replays, 3 games in total, 19 games in the league and the Scottish Cup.
Wow.
But they were certainly fit back then as well. When he was there under the Jock Wallace days, he used to take them with the Sandons and Gulland in it, and that was the one thing the players had back then. At that time, they were off fit, and probably that's what prolonged a bit his career, because even when he left us late on, he went and was quite successful, I think, with Motherwell and that. But at the time with Rangers, he was certainly an elegant football player. He'd seen the good times, and obviously later on when it wasn't a league winners medal, but he still won cups for us, you know, in that period of time.
All right, he was also part of Souness's first game. He played and started that game when Souness got sent off Easter Road. Yeah.
Aye, against McCluskey.
He played after that and then disappeared. I think he went to Murrable. Yeah, what a great footballer. Yeah, great choice. Bobby Russell, yeah. So inside sort of right then?
So we're playing a kind of a deep midfielder, kind of it's more like a sort of diamond shape box.
Okay, so we'll have that. We'll give you that.
Yeah, the sort of bottom point, the sort of deeper role, we've chosen Derek Ferguson.
All right, okay. What was the thinking there?
Well, we were looking for a bit of a sort of ball winner, a sort of harder tackling midfielder, and we looked at Derek Ferguson. I think he joined the club very young, didn't he? A real blue nose himself. He was obviously part of the sort of the young pack, like him and Duran and Robert Fleck. So we just thought we needed a ball winner in there, somebody who could tackle. But obviously Derek Ferguson could play a wee bit as well, from what I remember seeing him play. So we decided to put him as our sort of a defensive midfielder.
That's the second player to come for Gartcosh United. Is there a trend here?
I was thinking it was more the boy band look.
Aye, time's not been good enough, Derek, is he? When he came into the team, he looked completely different, eh?
Aye, absolutely.
Good player, elegant player, ball winner, hard worker, nice on the ball, Southside.
I've seen him put a tackle in about the park and that. He was elegant. He could pass the ball. I think he's the youngest player. He was 16 and 20 odd days or something when he played at Rangers.
24 days against Queen of the South in the League Cup tie, yeah.
1983, I think it was around about then. 82, 83, was it?
Against Queen of the South. Just looking at the fixture, mate. It was a big crowd that night, 8,000.
He had I can remember him having a great game in the 86 Cup final against Celtic.
Yeah.
He was good in midfield that day, in Durant, and that, when we beat them. I'll be hampered a wee bit with injury, but I think he played in a lot of games, mate, during that sort of times in with Durant. Jim Bett would have been there and stuff, certain people at that time, different players. But we could have had a Jim Bett in the team. We looked at that. We could have had Graham Souness in the team. We'll probably see people out there screaming how we not get Souness. It was just the time that he played maybe 50, 60 games. Ray Wilkins was another one we did consider. Same reason. Played only so many games. We just thought picking players that had played.
Just using your argument, how many games did Derek Ferguson play?
Linda should know that one.
Was it about 142 and scored 7 goals?
I've got 138, 119 starts with 8 goals.
Right, okay. Yeah. That's that Wikipedia wrong again, Ox.
I wouldn't use Wikipedia. That's Port Bear. And that's Jimmy and Old Bear.
But see, Derek Ferguson, he had a bit of a fallout with Souness, didn't he? Because I've heard Derek talk about that. He never wanted to leave Rangers, and he just couldn't get himself back into the team. And I think they put him out on loan to Dundee and then sold him to Hearts. But he always talks about how he never wanted to leave the club, and he just couldn't get back on Souness's good side.
I think he was a good player, and nobody could deny it. He wasn't a consistent starter.
No.
When you look at it, he was with the club for quite a while. Obviously made his debut as a really young man, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but he wasn't a consistent starter. His most consistencies was 41 appearances in 1987, 1988. When he started 83, 84, 2, 8, 13, 32 in Souness's first season, which is good going. And that team, 41, then only 18 and then 5 as he left the club. But a good football player meets the criteria, and it's your team. Right, okay, so are we going for the left or are we going for the point of the diamond?
Go for the left, south side.
Right, okay. On the left-hand side, somebody else that's played quite a bit at Rangers, Ian Redford.
Ian Redford?
Aye.
Yeah, all right.
Yep.
I wonder, are you sure you're not getting him mixed up with Robert?
Another blonde.
Signed for Dundee. £210,000. I think it was a Scottish record when we paid that from at the time. I think we broke it, Craig Patterson, for Hibs. But at that time, we paid £210,000 for Dundee. Same played quite a bit of time in the team, signed in the 80s, and won some silverware while he was at the club.
Yeah, it was a big signing at the time. A guy who, I know there's similarities in what's happened to Aribo. From memory, he was a guy who was moved about all the time, south side, left back, midfield, up front, left, right. We played him everywhere, bar centre forward.
He was a centre forward when we signed him, but he did play a majority of his time at left back and left midfield, sometimes centre mid. He did move about the team, but he was there for a good period of time, and also played with Derek Ferguson and the Jim Betts and Bobby Russells, and scored quite a few goals. Cup final goal, one he chipped Hamish.
Also missed a penalty in the last minute of cup final.
He did, he sure did. But see if he'd scored that day, mate, honestly, being honest, we'd have robbed them, Dundee United, that day, wouldn't we? Because they absolutely battered us.
We also robbed them when the United chipped the ball as well when Cooper equalised for the free kick. Okay, Ian Redford, 251 games, 219 starts, 44 goals, 2 penalties, 15 yellow cards, 2. Made his debut as a 19-year-old, nearly 20, after we signed him for Morton. First goal a wee bit later, scored 44 goals as a midfield player. I would say it's no pun intended here, a sort of left field choice, but it's your team, and understand 250 games, Linda. It's not to be sniffed at.
No, it's not a bad return, and when Southside and I were talking about it, Southside was mentioning it before he came to Rangers that, he did play up front. It was probably his preferred position, Ox. As you've said, he seemed to get moved about. So he obviously had an eye for the goal, and we seen that, even though he was playing in midfield most of the time for Rangers. But yeah, for what I remember, he was a reasonably good player, and based on appearances, sort of goals scored, that's why we've got him in the team.
Very, very, very skillful player. But sent off twice, and there's similarities in his red cards. Of course, you'll know that, Southside.
Yeah, I thought he was a good player, mate. He was technically a good player. It's like anything in that period of time.
I'm asking you about the red cards.
The red cards, who he gets sent off against?
There's similarities.
He gets sent off against Dundee, did he not?
He was sent off twice.
In the one game?
Nope.
No, you've got me.
Right, okay. 84 and 85, we get knocked out the cup. Both years by Dundee. And we lost both games at home. Well, there's a famous game for Super Ali, but we lost 3-2 at home in a replay. And then we lost the following season. We lost again to Dundee in the cup. And both the games Ian Redford was sent off. I did not know that. There you go. Every day's a school day on Rangers Radio, Southside.
Aye, that was the game the Copeland Road were telling Ali where to go.
They were suggesting that he might look for new employment, yeah. They obviously got it wrong.
Thick skin, Super Ali.
Aye. And then obviously the next year we get knocked out the cup again.
John Brown, was that with John Brown?
Yeah, John Brown scored the winner, aye. Okay, so that's 3 out your 4. So who else have you got in your midfield, your last player?
So the tip of the diamond in midfield, we've got probably one of the best players I've ever seen over at Ibrox, and he probably didn't go on to fulfil his full potential because of an injury, and that player is Ian Durrant.
Okay, so can I ask you what the criteria was for when you were asked to pick the players?
Most games played in that decade.
How many appearances did Ian make?
Overall, I think it was something like, was it 340 odds? I thought it was about a 50-50 split, Ox.
Right, okay, so he made 346 appearances, 270 starts, yes? Yeah?
Right.
161 games started in the 80s. 110 in the 90s, approximately. Apart from one substitute appearance, the rest were after his injury in the 90s. 75 substitute appearances in the 1990s. I'm going to have to take a ruling for this, for Mr. Fox, because it is the amount of games played, and unless we started adding up the minutes he came on as substitute, we could be here for a while. So I'm going to take a ruling for the
the only thing in defence is we're only going off Wikipedia. I think if you've got more technical stuff, then fair enough, we'll bow to it.
No, but I think we'll get a ruling. I think we'll see. Mr. Fox, can I bring you in?
Ian Durrant is perfectly legitimate to be in the 1980s team, mate.
Yes, get in there, Fox.
Okay. Oh, I've just had a text.
I bet there's somebody in Drumchapel with some sad face.
I've just been texted something from somewhere south, down the water. Okay, so give us your midfield. Well, but we'll go back to Durrant in a minute. Just use your 4 in midfield, yeah?
Bobby Russell, Derek Ferguson, Ian Redford and Ian Durrant.
Okay. Durrant, a fantastic football player, had a knack of playing the game. Him and Bobby Russell on the same team, they obviously would have played together. One making the runs and one finding them. I get it. Yeah, I get it. And very intelligent player. Scored scored 45 goals, 5 penalty kicks. I'm struggling to remember his penalties right enough, but scored a lot of big goals. Scored some fabulous goals, one particular against them for a famous goal when the boys flicked back for Davy Cooper. He also got a winner in a League Cup final as well.
Yeah. I remember the League Cup final in 86 Ox, as soon as his first year. He got one of the goals in that. That was the first time I'd ever been to Hampden. It was my first cup final, and I think Durant scored and Davy Cooper got the winner. Was that correct? From a penalty.
Yep.
I remember that well. A fantastic player. As you say, he probably would fit really nicely into this number 10 role in the current team. Could get into the opposition box and could score goals. And after his injury, he still went on to have a really good career at Rangers when you think about the fact that it took him so long to come back. And Southside reminded me when he made his comeback at Ibrox in the reserves, there was about 30,000 fans turned up at Ibrox. We were all desperate for him to come back, but he was a really great player.
He obviously broke into team 84-85, 6 appearances, and then 85-86 established himself, 38. Graham Souness came in, 50 appearances, 53, and then obviously in 1988 he had his injury. Yeah. So he's 270 starts, the vast majority of them within the 80s. When you look back at his last 3 seasons with the club, and this one's for JFK who's texting me, his last 3 seasons at the club, he only started 18 games. And the season before that, he only played 18 games. He had a great season in 93, 94. Sorry, 92, 93. Fabulous season, but he still only started 34 games. You know, so you think back to that 93 team, you think he started every week Southside, but your memory proves trick sometimes.
Aye, I knew he had we knew he had time in the 90s. You know, it was just a matter of game time. You mentioned that goal when Davy Cooper, if you remember, he gave him the wee flick and he runs in and sticks it by Bonner. That was his first Old Firm goal, and he scored it up the Rangers end and all. I'm sure that'll even delighted him.
First league game live on the telly.
Aye, probably. Aye, could be. Aye, mate. Aye.
1986, first Old Firm game live on the telly.
He scores it, doesn't he? I think Cooper puts his arms out and he runs by him in the enclosure.
That's right.
Celtic and Cooper a dummy.
Aye, and that season as well, it was the old Skull Cup final, wasn't it? And he scored in the final against them, and with Davy Cooper penalty. So he also scored a Aberdeen, the 3-each game at Hampden. He scored the winning penalty. I think I'm going to guess here, I think it was maybe Peter Nicholas that missed for them. Would that be right?
That would have been 1987, yeah?
Possibly, aye. It
was 3-each, and then the following year we beat them 3-2, yeah?
Aye, aye.
Well, they were fabulous finals, weren't they?
Yeah, brilliant, mate.
Fabulous finals. Right, okay, Haynes Durant, we'll never know, Ian, how good he could have been or what would have happened with his career. But Hall of Famer goes down as, can't argue with, and he started 160 of his 270 games in the 1980s, so he fits into that team. We'll give you that. Okay, so then we move up to your forwards. So you've got 3 forwards, yeah?
Yeah.
Aye. You want me to start off with one of them?
Aye, on you go.
We're going for Mark Walters.
Mark Walters. I've even got Albert texting me.
Right, in 1987, made his debut against Celtic. I was at the game that day. Atrocious behaviour for that mob. Unbelievable. But he came up, he played, he nearly scored that day against them as well. And then obviously he went on. Hearts, he got the same treatment at Tynecastle. Remember, got to Tynecastle. It was disgraceful when he first came up. We went to Tynecastle, the old Tynecastle, where with all terracings and that, and they had all big shed. And they were popping fruit and all that up and down at that end when they went to take a corner. And also Dundee United, I remember, gave him it as well. They were the three clubs I remember giving him it when he first came up. And it's ironic because when you look at his career after that, when he played for us, he absolutely battered them in some games. Dundee United, Hearts and Celtic scored goals against them. So, aye, mate, he was getting into our team, Mark Walters.
Okay. He just sneaks in the 80s team, yeah? Obviously, because he played 75, 71 of his games. But there's many of them in the first half of the season in 1989, 1990 season. Because he's already played that, he's 68. So he's in the 80s team, just in the 80s team. 139 games for us. 52 goals, 9 penalties. And there's two memories I've got on Mark Walters. Obviously, some of these skillful players, but the cross for Drinkle in 1988 and the same season, I can't remember, I think it was the 2nd of January 1989 when he scored the 4th goal when we beat them 4-1 at Ibrox, and he ran behind the Copeland Road high-fiving everybody. Fabulous player, really talented player, and it was a pleasure to watch him. Linda?
Yeah, he was a really great player. Lots of trickery. I'd love to know. It was like a
shadow, Linda. It was like a shadow. He was here, he was there, he was gone.
Yeah, absolutely, really difficult to pick up. And we do the assist stats and all that. These days, you just wonder how many assist players like Mark Walters had in his career. But yeah, I remember when he came up, and as obviously Southside alluded to the way he was treated. But it was really great that he just put all that to the side, and he was able to go out and just prove people wrong. Yeah, but I do remember those two specific moments you're talking about in the old firm games. Yeah, a really great player and really skillful. One of probably the most skillful players we had, definitely in the 80s anyway, Ox.
It was Southside, he was like a shadow. He was here, he was there, and he just ghosted past you. Fantastic player, mate, eh?
Brilliant, two-footed, go either side of you, that wee shuffle he gave you. Scored his first goal against Raith Rovers in the Cup at Ibrox. He got the ball at the edge of the box, and it looked like he was about to shoot it with his right foot, and he just moved it a couple of yards to his left and chipped it right out of the goal into the top corner. Brilliant player, mate. Great balance. The one he sold, Shuggy Burns at Tynecastle, the wee back heel, if you remember, then he sort of went towards the edge of the box and he nearly scored for it. But a wonderful player to see. One of the players that when you were at Ibrox, he gets you off your feet, didn't he? You were buzzing when you seen him on the ball. You knew something could happen. But like I said, we've done our homework and we thought he would be in the team, mate, and we think he deserves a place.
You've done your homework, and other teams haven't done your homework. Is that what you're saying to me?
Like it at the moment, doesn't it? That sounds clear as that, mate. Clear as that.
I like a bit of rivalry between the teams. Okay, so Mark Walters on the right, did you say?
I would put them on the right, aye.
Oh, he'd play anywhere, couldn't he? Okay, and then...
Two fitted, mate.
On the left?
On the left, we've got the one and only Davy Cooper. There's absolutely no way we couldn't have Davy Cooper in our team. Fabulous player and probably a real Rangers legend.
Southside, Cooper, Tanner ball player, different kind of player for Walters, eh?
Aye. I think obviously Mark Walters more pacing than Davy Cooper. Obviously two-fitted. Davy wasn't exactly two-fitted, was he? But Davy Cooper had to get him in the team, mate. A genius at times. I'll be honest, there's times in the early 80s he probably wasn't as good as he had been in previous seasons. There's games when he wasn't very good at times. It's like all wingers, they blow hot and cold. But on his game, and certainly in big games for us, he certainly came up trumps in cup finals and Skull Cups and League Cups and stuff like that, and also was a league winner with Graham Souness and when we won the league at Aberdeen. So there was we thought Cooper was a shoe-in, mate. There was no way you could leave Davy Cooper at an 80s team.
All right, Ford obviously made his debut in the 70s, but played. This is just for all but Dare and Jimmy, just so they get the hang of this game. He played the majority of games in the 80s. It's easy, Linda, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and that was one that we definitely did our homework on. You know,
Yes.
we knew that he was a shoe in for the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you think about some of the goals, my favourite Cooper goal was, I think it was the 87 League Cup final. We've already touched on it, and he scored the brilliant free kick against Aberdeen Ox.
I'll say this now, and I've said it before on the show. I don't think I've ever seen a ball hit so hard in my life.
No. And I remember Davy Cooper telling a wee story, I don't know if it was on his video, that I think Jim Leighton said that he had nearly got to it, and Davy Cooper said to him, aye, on the way out, you nearly got to it.
Aye, Cooper was a guy who was happy with his lot. 452 performances, 472 starts, 80 substitutes appearances, 79 goals, 7 penalties, 27 yellow cards and 2 reds. I can guess who one of the reds was against.
Aye, probably. I think in his career, he only scored a one-headed goal, and he scored it up at Celtic Park. I was there that day and I seen it. I'm sure that might be the only goal.
It was quite a famous night when he gets sent off. Actually, Ali Dawson gets sent off the same night, and we equalised with 9 men. McCoy equalised for the penalty spot with about 10 minutes to go. We got a draw with 9 men. The night Coop gets sent off, yeah.
Right.
His other sending off was against Borussia Mönchengladbach. Aye, fabulous player, Rangers legend, a guy who there's some people would have him as the greatest ever Ranger as far as ability is concerned. You know, depending what era you were brought up in, yeah?
Yeah.
Aye, definitely.
And Maroon left us and won the cup with Motherwell. So just shows you how good a footballer he was, yeah?
Yeah, and they held him in real high regard, didn't they? So much so they named a stand after him. So, yeah, I think Davy Cooper was well loved. And I think when I looked as well, I was surprised that he only had 22 Scotland caps, Ox.
He never got capped. Well, his caps were spread about, but he never really became to run about 86 when in Mexico. He wasn't really a fixture before that, surprisingly. Yeah. We've always been with so much talent, we didn't know what he did as a nation. Oh, not. His most successful season, arguably, was the season under Souness, which surprised me. He made 54 appearances and scored 11 goals. No substitute appearances, so he started.
Probably Scotland career-wise as well, before sort of 85, 86, possibly down to the team at that time, the squad that we had and the teams that he was playing in. Plus we were going through a transitional period at that time as well with our managers, weren't we? We were changing managers and stuff up until Souness came in, but he was sort of more regular, I think, mate, like you said, 86 onwards.
Aye, and then he left the club when he was 33 years of age and went on and played. I couldn't argue with that. Great pick, Walters and Cooper. Oh, I wonder about Stevie G, would they be one of them to solve that right-hand side problem, eh? Right, okay. Centre forward. Who's taking this one?
On you go, south side.
Centre forward was a shoe-in. We both agreed it. Mr. Goals, Super Ali.
Okay. That might cause a bit of controversy, but we'll get it checked out. I'll check it out.
I've been getting threatening texts, I think, for somebody close to Drumchapel now. You better check him, then. I suppose he needs to be checked too.
Okay, made his debut in 1983, yeah? 2 games, 1983. 503 appearances, 82 substitute appearances, 362 goals, yeah?
Yeah.
You know, what can we say? I'm just checking them out. But Linda, your memories are Super Ali.
Well, what can I say about Super Ali? I've got the videos, the T-shirt, t-shirts, the posters, everything. He was just an absolute hero of mine.
So you've got the videos, the t-shirts, the posters of Super Ali, and Southside's got the same of Baywatch, yeah?
I kept Sam Fox back in the day.
I mean, when you think about Ali, when he joined obviously in the early 80s, didn't he? Sort of 83, he scored the hat-trick in the League Cup final, and he thought, wow, my career's going to take off. And as you touched on earlier, Ox, he then had a wee bit of a barren spell, and he's were talking about the time when the Copeland Road were telling him to do one. But then obviously also when Souness came in, he actually went through quite a bit of a hard time with Souness as well. Although he was still scoring goals, he was coming off the subs bench, etc. And he just rode that out. And then obviously in the 90s, he went on to have brilliant success as well. So I just loved watching McCoist. Scored all types of goals. It wasn't only tap-ins. He scored, and I loved him when he played for Rangers.
I'm just checking him out. There's two guys keep messaging me. We think you would realise I'm trying to do a show. They seem to have took the nip a wee bit. KFK and all better.
This following Will, and this is, he was a phenomenal player, mate. Even through the spell when he first came, he scored goals in the team when they were struggling. Scored goals in cup finals. European goals, probably not as many in Europe as he could have scored. Wonderful, and then saying that, wonderful goal down at Leeds United, goals against Aberdeen, cup finals. Come back after breaking his leg, scores against Hibs with the overhead kick. 2 golden boots. The guy was just phenomenal. He just scored all types of goals. The one at Ibrox, I remember when he flicked it up and sort of just swiveled and volleyed it right into the top corner and done one of the mad robot dances.
That's right.
What a goal. And he scored one summer up in Aberdeen, I remember. He actually scored one like that, and believe it or not, the linesman flagged Jimmy Phillips offside, stoning right out in the left wing, and it was some goal, but we didn't get it that day. But it was similar to that goal he scored. But if we get him past him, which I think we should.
Just for the record, Ali started 503 games for us, yeah?
Yeah.
Right.
289 of them were in the 1980s, yeah?
Yeah.
And he did another 3, 5, 7, more than 10 substitutes appearance in the 1980s. So take a ruling for Fox. That suggests to me that Ali's a 1980s player. Mr. Fox?
1980s player.
Yes.
Get in there.
Yes.
I'll expect a text in a minute.
I don't know where these are getting their homework for you. Listen, it's a football test and then it becomes arithmetic. Obviously, all Bear and GFK, they've done all right with the football. They struggled with arithmetic. Okay, so that's your team. Give us your team. Linda, give us a one.
Okay. Yeah, it's Chris Woods in goal. We've got a back three of Davy McPherson, Terry Butcher and Stuart Monroe. We're playing 4 in the midfield. We've got Bobby Russell right, Ian Redford left. We've got the deep centre midfield, Derek Ferguson, and the sort of tip of that diamond is Ian Durant. And then our front three are Davy Cooper, Ali McCoist and Mark Walters.
You happy with that, Southside?
Aye, and we've put Andy Kennedy on the bench, mate.
Andy Kennedy, he played the majority of his games during the 1980s, eh? You've come out with the one who made that faux pas, haven't you?
Told you I was doing to the old England Golden at the time, mate.
Right, get yourself some mute. We're going to have a tune.
Against the cold, a close encounter with a hard-hearted man who never gave half of what he got. said you'd never been born. That's a shame, 'cause you got the lot. Hey, yeah, you with a sad face, come up to my place and live it up. You beside the dance floor, what do you cry for? Let's live it up. If you smile, the walls will fall down on all the people in this pickup joint. But if you laugh, you level this town. Hey, lovely girl, that's just the point. Hey, yeah, you with a sad face, come up to my place and live it up. You beside the dance floor, what do you cry for? Let's live it up. Just answer me the question why. You stand alone by the phone in the corner. Who cried? Hey, baby. How can you see looking through those tears? Don't you know you weren't your waiting to go? I can't believe that you're alone in here. Let me warm your hands against the cold. If you smile, the walls will fall down on all the people in this pickup joint. But if you laugh, you level this town. Hey, lovely girl, that's just the point. Hey, yeah, you with a sad face, come up to my place and live it up. You beside the dance floor, what do you cry for? Let's live it up. Let's live it up. Live it up. Live it up. Hey, yeah, you with a sad face, come up to my place. Come up to my place, baby. Hey, yeah, you with a sad face, come up to my place and live it up. You beside the dance floor, what do you cry for? Let's live it up. You with a sad face, come up to my place and live it up. You beside the dance floor, what do you cry for? Let's live it up.
Okay, we're both back. Hard to believe that was for the 80s, eh? See, we've heard it more in the last few weeks than I heard it in the 80s, I think.
Yeah, I know.
There we go. Okay, have you both got a pen and pencil at the ready?
Yes.
I'm going to pass you over to Mr. Fox. Now, Mr. Fox.
Good evening, Linda. Good evening, Southside.
Evening, Fox.
Evening, Fox.
We've got 20 audio clips for you.
God.
10 on the pop and 10 on theme tunes. So we'll go with the pop first, and in the pop quiz we just want either the name of the artist or the name of the song for the 10 songs that you're going to hear. Okay?
None of these were DJs at any time, were you?
No.
No.
Right, okay. If you were DJs, we'd have looked for a year as well. Jimmy done really well at that.
Anyway, whenever you're ready to say ready.
Okay.
All settled and
Ready.
ready to go? Well, here we go.
goes on, right or wrong. Now it's all been said and done.
Gotta get up, gotta get out. Grab the world by the throat and shout.
What would you say if I told you things had never changed and we'll find a way?
Right, I hope you didn't get mixed up there. I actually pressed the theme tunes one first, so if you want to guess the number one.
Right, I thought that's what had happened, but I've not got any of them anyway.
None of them.
I've maybe got two.
Here, I've still got a blank sheet of paper with something wrote down, but that order just flung it. You must well just tell us who it is, folks.
I'm allowed to make an ass of things once in a while. Number one, for the people that's listening, was based on Port Bear's Life, Sorry, starring Rory Corbett. Number two was The Two of Us, starring Nicholas Lyndhurst. Number three was Hello, Hello, starring Gordon Kay.
I got that.
Number four was Ever Decreasing Circle, starring Richard Bryars. Number five was The Young Ones, starring Rick Mail and Ed Edmondson.
Yeah, I got that too.
Number six was In Sickness and Health, starring Warren Mitchell, aka Alf Garnett.
Garnett,
Yeah.
aye.
Number seven was Shelley, starring Hywell Bennett. Number 8 was Dear John, starring Ralph Bates. Number 9 was Bread, starring Jane Boyd and Peter Hewitt. Number 10 was Just Good Friends, starring Jan Francis and Paul Nicholas.
Yeah, I got that.
Maybe you'll do better in the pop one.
Oh,
what do we think? Are we ready for this?
Right.
Okay, here we go.
Come on. In violent times, you shouldn't have to sell your soul. Sometimes when I think of her name, when it's only a game, and I need you, listen to the words that you say, it's getting harder to stay. When I see you, da da da, da da da, da da da.
In an old familiar way, the forming of a new connection.
To study or to play. And so the conversation turned. Not my sense of emptiness you fill with your desire. Climb in bed beside me, we can lock the world outside. Touch me, satisfy me, warm your body next to mine. Girl has left you out on the pavement. When your dreams fall apart at the seams. Your reason for living, your reason for leaving. Don't ask me what it means. Who got the love? I don't know the answer to that question. And love is overboard. Heavy hearts, token words. All the hopes I ever had. Fade like footprints
10. How did you go on there, Linda?
I'll tell you what ones I got.
Right, what have you got for number 1?
Right, number 1, I've got Tears for Fears.
For Fears, aye, I'll go with that.
Correct. And it
I
was,
don't know what number 2 was.
number 2 was Spandau Ballet.
Oh, Spandau. Number
that's
3.
True. That's true. It's Spandau Ballet.
Number 3, I've got Yazoo.
Correct.
Number 4, I don't know if this is right, but I've written down, was it Ian Jury?
No, it was a trio.
Come on,
Southside?
Southside, you're playing as well.
I was, mate, but I didn't have anything for that.
Number,
What's the problem?
number 5.
I didn't think the 6-1 had Human League, I think, but I don't think it was. I think they were later on. I don't know if they got 5.
I've
Human
got
League.
5.
Human League was number 5, correct.
Was it right? So
Well
it was
done.
right.
Number 6.
I've got Sometimes.
Sometimes is the name of the song.
Yeah.
So is that, was it, oh, would you call James?
No, it was Erasure.
Erasure.
Easier.
I've got that wrote down in Erasure, aye. Right.
Oh,
Number 7.
That's a rubber you've wrote down.
ABC, Look of Love.
Correct. Bang on, Linda. Number 8.
Southside, on you go.
Hey, what have I wrote down here? No, I don't know. I had Erasure. I've got Erasure, Human League. I had Tears for Fears, Spandau. I don't even know if that was in there at one point.
Number 8 was Level 42.
Correct. Lessons in Love. Number 9
Soft Cell.
was indeed Soft Cell with Bed Sitter. And finally, number 10.
Happy Talkie Talk.
That is correct, but who sang it?
I don't know.
Captain Sensible.
Captain Sensible it
Oh,
was.
well said, Ox.
Done very well there. Thank you for taking
I
part.
went for Linda.
Cheers.
By the way, with Murphy's, with Mer Trivia in the 80s, we're going to put you in a mastermind chair for 2 minutes each. But times beat us. So, thank you too. We're going to open the phone lines now, yeah, and you might get a bit of stick for some people, but well done. You just use your team again, Linda.
Okay, the team is in goals is Chris Woods. We've got a back 3 of Davy McPherson, Terry Butcher, Stuart Monroe. We've got 4 in the midfield, Bobby Russell and Ian Redford. We've got Derek Ferguson at the deep, and up the tip of that is Ian Durant, and then we've got Davy Cooper, Alan McCoist and Mark Walters up front.
Here, Fee. Let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Well, did you enjoy that, Southside?
Aye, mate, aye, I did. I know the team will have a debate about the team, that, but I enjoyed it, mate. And it was good to have a wee chance to research and think back to some of the players that we put in the team, you know. I was the sort of most of the players that I seen coming up just into the 80s, coming into my teens and stuff. And I know the team wasn't great. We won trophies, but it was a bit of excitement. I'd just been a teenager, mate, and going to watch Rangers every week. And that's later on in life, you look back and you can see successful spells. But at that time, all I wanted to do, mate, was just go and watch Rangers Football Club and watch them every week. So that's the team me and Linda's probably grew up with. A give or take a few other players, obviously, we could have put in the team.
Sorry, Mr. McPherson just text me. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I'll tell you later. All right, what about yourself, Linda? Enjoy that?
Yeah, it was really good. It was good looking back, as Southside said, and trying to come up with a team. And the early 80s, we weren't challenging for the league, etc. We obviously won a few cups, but later on, we seemed to have a bit more success. But yeah, it was really enjoyable.
Oh dear. Oh, brilliant. The calls have started already. We've been joined by... No, any second now? No. Oh. Aye, different. Your team's different. I think people would have looked at McClelland, Wilkins as soonest, yeah. And obviously the controversy where you just managed to steal the two of them, Durrant and McCoy.
There's no controversy, mate. If you take your homework, I'm sorry, I'm just laughing. I've just got a text in for the big game. But, if you do your homework, mate, your team's perfect. It might not be to everybody's taste, but the criteria was to have played a lot of games in that period of time, in that decade. So that's what we've done. And some people will remember the Ian Redfords, Bobby Russells, and Stuart Monroe's that normally wouldn't get a mention. So
Yeah. We've been joined by Amanda. Evening, Amanda.
Good evening, all. How are we?
Hi, Amanda.
Hiya, how are you, Linda?
I'm fine, thank you.
You've done quite well. You've done quite well there, Southside and Linda, I must admit. Obviously, I tend to push your buttons, but then that's what he's there for, isn't it? But, no, talking about...
Woman said that, I'll tell you.
I've always got to lower the tone, haven't I? Getting better at that. Anyway, what I was going to say was, listening to the team, right, I feel really old now. I feel old. Because when Linda was talking about Alan McCoy, I'm going to put my hands up and say, I was one of the ones that his posters all on my wall. Because I'll tell you, he came to East Kilbride and he was my hero. I loved him to bits. And I'll tell you a story about that, Laura. I was in the Bank of Scotland in East Kilbride before they rebuilt all the town centre. And I'm standing and I'm going to my pal, I know that guy's face. And it wasn't a turn when I realised it was Alan McCoy. And of course I took a pure rigger right in the middle of the bank. And he says, you all right? And I went, aye. He says, how much the matter? He says, she could have posters all over you and all in a room. And it was like when Linda was saying that, it made me think, oh God, that's what I used to do. But no,
the problem was
even
Amanda was 35 times Southside.
Aye, 35 feet away.
Do you know something? I took a pure beamer and you could actually see it rising. But your team, even talking about David Cooper, I mean, even Bobby Russell, God, I actually feel quite old now, listening to even talking about, like Ian Durrant, I mean, God, what a player he was before that injury, you know what I mean? And then just sadly, the injury just he couldn't play the same after the injury. It was just but, I mean, it was a horrendous injury. He had one that, let's be honest, it was if you were at Pataudry that day and you were at that end, you heard that crunch. Oh, God. Anyway, but he was a great player. Alan McCoy, Mark Walters, how he played, the way he played, what he put up with all the morons at Dundee, all these teams that slagged him constantly, and it turned him into a far better player.
Brilliant, Amanda. Brilliant. Always great to hear from you, yeah?
Yeah, no problem. You have a good night, guys. Okay, and I'll speak to you. Right, see you later. Bye. Bye.
Cheers, Amanda.
Oh, she's always bubbly, isn't she? Always got a story to tell us, isn't she?
Yeah.
Aye, always goes on lively, doesn't she? She's always lively when she comes on.
Aye. She's superb. Aye. And by the way, maybe that's her era. Aye. I think in McCoy and Durrant is causing a bit of controversy behind the scenes. Hello, Tosh. How we doing, mate?
How you doing? How you doing, Oxford, Southside, Linda? How you doing? Can I give you my team for the 80s?
Hi, Tosh.
Remember,
Tosh, how you doing, pal?
Remember,
how you doing? You all right?
Criteria that they had to play the majority of games in the 80s. But on you go, Tosh. Let's see.
I've done it. The team I've got did play the majority of the games in the 80s.
Right,
I think there's only a couple in the 90s. Right, it was a 4-4-2. Chris Woods, Gary Stevens, Terry Butcher, Dave McPherson, Stuart Monroe. And my midfield's Trevor Stephen, Derek Ferguson, Ian Durant, David Cooper, and up front, Alan McCoist and Robert Fleck. And my subs were Bobby Russell, Matt Walters, John McClellan, Robert Pritz, and Ian Redford.
I'm just checking the Gary and Trevor Stephen. Obviously, they signed around about the late 80s. So they might have played a majority of their games in the actual 90s, mate, yeah?
Ah, right, I'm with you. Aye. Right.
It's only a bit of fun, but that's a good team as well. Southside, isn't it?
Aye, it was a good team. I think we looked at Gary Stevens. I don't think he qualified, mate. I think that's why we didn't have him in, because he would have probably been in it right back, no bother. But it's a good team you've picked, mate. A few of the players that we picked tonight is in your squad, eh?
And I'm just sat there thinking about it, like a wee manager, sat with my book saying, right, who can I put these? That's the one I come up with.
Gary played about 70 games in the 80s, and the rest is 245 games in the 90s, mate.
I'm trying to think who else I could put in for the two. I'm sitting there, I'm thinking,
It's no easy, is it? But it's good.
No, you think of the ones I missed out. I've missed out John McDonald, I missed the other Ian Ferguson, and there's, they start, when you put that team in your subs, then about 6 or 7 hit you've no put in.
Well, the reason we done it like that was the majority of their games had to be played in that decade, so everybody's team will be different. Everybody's team's going to be completely different.
Oh, aye. That's what I like about it. You listen to everybody else's teams and see what they come up with. It's brilliant.
What did you think of their team? Rubbish?
Oh, imagine that team nowadays. I don't know. I think it'd be a cracking team.
I think Butcher and McPherson were busy.
Yeah, look at the midfield. A football midfield.
That's some midfield.
2 dynamite wingers and a striker that scores goals. So we take our chances. At least we're playing players more or less in their sort of positions. I mean, Tam Forsyth in central midfield the other night. Come on.
This is getting very personal now, isn't it?
You're taking it personal. Good competition.
Brilliant, Tosh. We've also been joined by Bob Gier. Evening, Bob Gier.
How you doing? All right.
How we doing, mate?
I'm doing all right, mate. I'm sitting here with my Choose Life T-shirt and my white trousers and April haircut. I'm all right.
Well done, Bob.
I felt Fox was singing Careless Whisper. I want to wake me up before you go, Ronnie.
Bob, just relax.
I'll relax, pal. I know. I'm bringing back memories here, am I? Hey, I like Big Craig Patterson. I thought he was near a bad centre-half. You mind him? You mentioned all the players I thought about liking the team. And when the shot came on with his team there, the 80s was a bit of a divided decade for Rangers. They weren't as successful as we'd like to be in the first half of it, but were certainly successful in the second half of it. If you mind, we were dominated by Aberdeen and Dundee United at the time with Ferguson and McLean, so wasn't too happy a time for the Gers at that time, but we did okay. Musically on the quiz, I was hopeless, Linda. You were better than me.
I
wasn't
too bad.
It's difficult because it's about players that has played the majority of their football in an era, Bob. So, as I said to Tosh there, it's so that everybody's team's going to be completely different. There's no 4 or 5 in the same different decades playing in both teams, yeah?
Nah, yeah. I mean, if you mind, obviously, Souness came in and transformed everything. There was a big influx of players, a big outgoing of players in the mid-80s. But, like I say, it was about a 50-50 decade for Rangers. Yeah, but, yep.
Oh dear, I've just been told that somebody's got a calculator out, touting up how many minutes somebody's played the substitute. Oh dear. Oh, you've got to laugh. Anyway, we'll be joined by Andy for Leeds. Evening, Andy.
Good evening, troops. Good show again tonight, right enough. I'll tell you what, I'm glad I was pissed already because they tunes were absolutely gassed. Right, so no, not at all. I'm an Elvis in a Rat Pack man, so that would definitely not. But I can remember some of them right enough. But geez, no, Christ, they were piss poor, man. Anyway, my team is Woods, Nicol, Monroe, David McPherson, Terry Butcher, I was going to have Ian Ferguson, but he wasn't there long enough, so I went for Durant. I've got Walters on the right. I've got Cooper on the left, John McDonald and Ally McCoist up front, and Russell playing alongside Durant in the middle.
A 4-3-3?
4-2-2, sorry.
4-4-2, right.
Yeah.
And your team, there's pretty similar to the Linder and Southside team. There's not a lot of ball winners in that midfield, is there?
Nah, but I'm only looking on what we've seen and what we've played. It's pretty hard, isn't it? Because I would have had Ian Ferguson in that midfield backing up Bobby Russell, but he didn't come there till the back end of the 80s, so you can't have him in, can you?
What about Dave McKinnon? Did you ever look at him?
No, I didn't rate him. No, I'm in the one that Bob judges, Patterson. He used to do my napper in sometimes, I'm right enough, but...
I think Southside had a haircut with Big Craig.
Oh, no, it's not severe as that, I tell you. Arson, he was playing all right at Hibs. You've got to think back to the time when we went to watch these players, and we weren't good in the league, right? We accept that, but we had some times in the cups at Hampden. We were winning the Skull Cup and all that, and these players done their best at the time, and it's the majority of the players. There's other players, Jim Bett, Robert Pritz, and we could go through John McDonald. We spoke about him as well, didn't we, Linda?
Yeah, we did.
He's another one that could have featured, but just at that time through the early 80s, I just hope we picked a team because of the criteria. It was just to put some of the players in. It didn't have to be the best team. It was just the majority of the players, and that was the majority of the players that we seen at that time, home and away, watching Rangers.
How do you feel about Sandy Clark?
Sandy Clark instead of McCoist?
I wouldn't think so, no.
No, He done
John McDonald. Sorry. John McDonald, he was top scorer for 2 seasons in a row, though, wasn't he?
Sorry, Andy, I never caught that, mate.
John McDonald, he was top scorer for 2 seasons in a row in the 80s. Aye.
John McDonald was a fabulous player, mate. Great footballer. Maybe just a bit unlucky that his time in Wary Club, that the guys were about him. It was an aging team, it wasn't our best team ever. You need a bit of luck to catch things. Tosh, you still there?
Aye, I've just saying that, the players, if you think about it, all the other ones, who else was good? Gregor Stevens. He couldn't get the ball, but he put them 10 feet in the air.
Southside's a fan of his.
Big Gregor.
Big Gregor, he went right in, didn't he?
If you remember a game against Dundee United at Ibrox, he laid Sturrock right at the edge of the 18-yard line.
That's what made me say it. Honestly, God, that's what made me just say that there.
He played in that game. He smashed him just off the ball. Sturrock was on the deck. He was tough, wasn't he? But Big Gregor, considered him as well. But we just went with appearances and amount of games. But there's a few people obviously had changed it. But the majority will probably have most of these sort of players in around about the team.
Even Bobby Williamson.
He had a good season. 94, 95, huh? He scored a good overhead kick against them, didn't he? Won the game, didn't he?
Aye, Ibrox. Did he not get the penalty for the Jim Bett 1-0 game at Ibrox as well?
What about Jim Bett? Did you think about him, Southside?
I did consider him, to be honest. But we spoke about him. He was a good player. Signed him. Scored a few goals, and he played in that team at the same era in the early 80s. He was good technically, not Jim Bett, but just like anything, we could have picked at different ones at different stages, but we left him out, as you can see by the team that we picked.
It's all about opinions, all there, isn't it?
Hughie Burns and Dougie Bell.
Dougie Bell was all right for us, wasn't he? But it was maybe his best years. He could
Behind
play.
him at Aberdeen.
He could definitely play, yeah.
Like you say, Oxy's best years was behind him at Aberdeen when he he wasn't consistent with Aberdeen, but he did enough damage when he played for them. They never played in that final, I didn't think, that they won. But when he came to us, very, very decent player. Aye. Yep.
I think we've been joined by Alex Kelly. He's not. Is he there? No, he's not. He's disappeared. Well, some great memories, some great players, and it's all about opinions. We could be going all night, but I think Alex is raising now. Evening, Alex.
Good evening.
How are we doing, mate? All right?
Oh, right. I'm fine. That was an interesting pick with Linda and Southside. I'm surprised Southside never mentioned his favourite player, a Mr. Morris Johnston.
That's right. He's left him for
I think you'll find he's a 90s team have left him for the big man up the road. You know who we're talking about. I'm sure
He'll not get in my team.
I think it's safe to say he caused a bit of controversy, didn't he? Isn't that right, Andy?
Oh, that's definitely right. You can bet your bottom dollar on that, my friend.
Well, let's keep away from that one.
Aye, well, and that's a good idea, that.
He might have played the majority of games in his 90s, and that's Southside's excuse, and he's sticking to it. But what about the rest of the picks, Alex?
I had 9 of them, I think.
Right, okay.
Although, having said that, McCoist and Durant, I think I had in my 90s team.
Touch and go, mate. We went for a ruling for the Fox, yeah?
Aye, that controversial, Mr. Fox. Controversial. Big Stevie's no happy.
Oh, dear.
But aye, no, good teams, good players then. I went to my first game 1985. I think my dad took me to Osasuna at Ibrox, and it was lashing the rain that night. I don't know if you guys were there. It was
I believe it. I was there. I've never seen rain like that in my life.
I've never
forgotten that. I remember.
Yep. And my very first Old Firm game was the reverse pass for David Cooper to Ian Durant at Southside. Touchstone earlier. It happened right in front of me. I was in East Enclosure, and it was bedlam after that. I just loved Ian Durant. I thought he was a magnificent player, and it didn't matter what area he played in. Even when he came back for his injury, he wasn't as strong on the engine, so he reverted to a different style of game, and it was just simply fantastic. Ian Durant, you know, he could have went on to be world class for me, Ian Durant, and you know, it's testament to him that even after he left us, he got capped with Scotland at Kilmarnock. That's how good the wee man was. He was a brilliant player.
Aye, and we'll never know, Alec. We'll never know. That's a problem. It's quite sad, really, when you reflect on it, yeah?
Yeah, oh, definitely. Oh, terrible challenge. You know, I've got Big Stevie for the drum texting me now.
See that day Aberdeen Oaks? See that day Aberdeen that happened? See that day Aberdeen that happened? You can't that lot never even gave Rangers a stretcher. I think I've mentioned that before.
Oh, no.
They didn't even give Rangers a stretcher.
That's right. Used to drag him off the park.
Bill Bosma carried him off, aye.
Yeah. That's right.
What's Jerry? He's saying to me something about an apron. I don't know what he's talking about.
I've had some of that as well. I've had some of that abuse as well.
Oh, dear. But I tell him I don't use an apron in the kitchen.
The big man's don't take it well.
That's what happens when you go first, isn't it?
I know. But I tell you, Southside, I wonder, I've got to pick you up on something. When did Rangers ever play a 3-4-3?
Southside, I think you can answer that on Greg in the 1980s.
Possibly no, Alex. But see when you've heard the night before, the weekend before, and you're hearing Tam Forsyth playing centre midfield and Alec Miller out wide left, come on. Usually you can let us away with a back three. Alex, did you ever go on the football specials?
What was that?
Well,
The
trains? No. I was too young then. I was only 10, 11 year old.
You must have had some paper run.
I know, but I think you've got a harder one, the age you're talking about.
No, I remember actually. Remember the wee guy that used to come round the terracing with the big brown box with the cheesy meat rolls and spearmint chewing gum. He used to get them on the football special. Aye, the ham rolls.
Get your macaroon bars.
You get him on the football special and all. By the time you open the way back, they were solid. He used to give him, try to flog them for 10 pence the way up the road.
By the way, the sad thing is the care was better then than it is now.
I've worked out how Linda was so good at the tunes there, because she used to record the top 40 every Sunday. Press, record, start.
I've worked out how she was good at the tune. She was up dancing. Me and my south sides were at the bar.
Yes to both of those. And Alex, you used to think you were really good if you didn't get the DJ's voice when you were doing the press record.
That's right.
Long live Billy Idol.
Some of the tunes I didn't hear. Panama Jacks back in the day. I think that's what it was.
Brilliant.
Oh, classic. I tell you, how good a player was Derek Ferguson.
Good player, and I wonder if he could have just changed his life a wee bit, if he had his life to lead out again. You know, he was a fantastic player. He got into the team as soon as his first sort of 2 seasons, and that was his chance to shine. And it never kicked off for him. Whether Souness didn't think he was good enough, or there was a clash of personalities. Only Graham and Derek will know. You know what I mean?
I've seen a podcast actually where Derek and Ian speak to Cy Ferry, and the reason why, Derek believes the reason why Souness got rid of him was because of the kind of kebab shop escapade where they were involved in a wee fracas, and soon after that Souness basically told him, you're finished here, pal. But he went on to have a reasonable career with Hearts.
He played for a long time.
Yeah.
He played for a long time.
He was a smashing player, technical player. Would you say Derek was better than Barry? Or?
Different kinds of players. I think if you were seeing how successful their careers were, I think you'd need to put Barry in front. Southside then Linda?
Yeah.
I think Barry was a better player than Derek, in all honesty. I think Barry had a bit more drive, determination. Two of them were technically good. Derek Ferguson was a good player on his game. He put in some smashing performances for Rangers. But I just think Barry was a better player in my eyes.
Yeah, I would agree, Ox, with Southside. Barry's the better player. If you even just go with success and what he won, and you know what he did with the rest of his career as well down south, etc. But no, two good footballers coming from that family.
Derek at his pomp might have been maybe better on the eye than Barry. But Barry, for longevity and success, I think you need to say, you know, played in the Advocat teams and then come back and played in the McLeish teams, and when we won in 2003 and then come back for Helicopter Sunday. So
I'll give you a hard one then, Ox. Who was better, Ian Ferguson or Barry Ferguson?
What was that? Me, he might be in my best 11 would be Ian Ferguson. A slightly different position. That's no slight on Barry, just my opinion.
Yeah.
I
don't know what you think. That one, Bob, Jer?
Well, Ian Ferguson, Barry Ferguson were two different players. Ian was a toughie. He was a hard ball winner. it took him a wee bit of time to go. I don't think Souness quite fancied him when he... Well, Souness at bottom, wasn't it? I didn't think the support quite fancied him when he came. It took him a bit of time to get going. But when he scored that goal in one of the League Cup finals against Aberdeen, it endeared him with the support from then on. But he won a hell of a lot of honours with Rangers. Am I right in saying he won, was it something like 11 league titles? Am I right there, Ox?
He won 9 in a row, and then he won the 10th under Advocate, yeah?
Aye, far away. He won a hell of a honour with two different players. But I'm in the camp where I think you're going to disagree with me here, but I thought Derek Ferguson, if he'd have looked after himself, knuckled down to be 100% pro, I thought he was a better player than Barry. There you go. Slightly better player than his brother. But there you go. It's history. Barry won everything. He was the club captain, went down to Blackburn, came back, won a load of honours with the Gers, did really well. But I thought Derek was a mere culture football player out of the two. Cool. That's only an opinion of an old Gers fan.
There you go. Andy?
Yeah, I would go with Derek as well. Like, it was just a case that he didn't screw his head or apply himself properly. Derek was a far better player in my opinion. I mean, the 5-1 and the 4-1 game against the Phils, he handed them all day in both of their games. He absolutely tantalised that midfield against them. So I would have gone for Barry. For me, Ian Ferguson is a far better player. For me, that's the way I would have gone with it. By the way, I didn't realise there was a top 40 in the 80s. I must have been well out of it.
See Italian 90 Ox. See Italian 90. Italian 90. I think.
Talking about the 80s, the 90s.
Oh right, aye. Okay, no, I'm not going to go on about the 90s decade. I think with the forthcoming Italian 90, that I think it was Roxburgh. He wanted his midfield to be Derek Ferguson, McStay, obviously, and Durant, but it never folded out that way, didn't he?
No, who did they end up with? Roy Aitken, Stuart McCall?
Aye, well, there you go. Stuart McCall, wonderful. But we'll talk about him later on.
JFK's joined us. He'll be coming in to doff his hat.
I'm going to sign you, Hawks, and thanks again.
Good night, Bob. Yeah, cheers, mate.
Take care now.
All right, Hawks. All right, Hawks. How you doing?
How we doing, JFK?
All right, I enjoyed that show. Good memories there.
I bet you got all the music.
Everything, mate. I got it all. You told me to stop texting you the answers.
I had to tell you to stop texting you. I can't text that quick.
Jimmy, I should have got your number, mate.
Impressive, Jimmy, impressive.
Well, I thought Fox was a bit lenient with you. Just gave you half a song and you gave it. Just that's not right for me. Anyway,
you were in the trade, JFK.
I was asked to give it a year, and I think I get about 8 out of 10. But anyway, that was a good show. All kidding aside, it was a good show. I enjoyed it. Some of the memories, and especially Mark Walters. What a fantastic player he was. I loved him. Especially the day we beat Aberdeen, the sheep at Ibrox. That's fantastic. Left cross for Hateley, the diving. Oh, what a header that was. I was in the Eastern Enclosure that day. Absolutely wonderful player he was. Beautiful player.
It was a mixed decade, the 80s.
Aye, it was, mate. Aye, definitely. It was different in it, didn't it? Considering when Graham Souness came, when David Holmes brought him to Ibrox, it just seemed to lift us, and we went on from strength to strength. For winning the league at Sheepland and continued on, to obviously when Graham Souness left. But the 80s was a fantastic year, just absolutely wonderful. Some wonderful, wonderful players we had. And I liked the team that the guys picked. There were the guys, Linda and Southside, good team they picked.
We've also been joined by Alex for Airdrie. What did I get for Alex for Wishaw? How are we doing, Alex? I'm moving you this again.
Good evening, Ox here.
How are we doing?
Good evening, Southside, Linda.
Hi, Alex.
Everybody else is there. Very good show. Very good show. That was a good selection of team you've got there, Southside and Linda. Very good team.
Thoughts,
try to mix it up. Try to mix it up a wee bit, mate. No.
Aye, done well. I'd like to see Jim Bett in there right personally. That's quite a good.
Aye.
I quite like Jim Bett.
But Linda was looking for more boy band, mate. No.
There's a theme. McCoy's Derek Ferguson.
Jim Bet didn't have the looks.
Chris Woods, that was the 4 Linda picked. Chris Woods, McCoy, Ferguson, and Davy Cooper.
Yeah.
Derek Ferguson, right? Very good footballer. I've got to agree with Bob, Jerry. I think he's potentially a better player than Barry. I mean, he played his first game. I know he's competitive game 16, but he came on at 15 against Swansea.
Against Swansea, aye.
I was there at the game when he came on. He'd some football, by the way.
Was that Tam Forsyth's testimonial?
Aye, Tam Forsyth's testimonial. That's when he came on, that boy. That's when he got introduced to Rangers. Brilliant footballer, but he went to the wayside later on, as everybody knows about. But what a fantastic footballer that laddie was. Brilliant footballer. But him and wee Durant, they were the mainstay of the team in that, but things went a bit pear-shaped there. Ian took the bad injury. He came back, and Derek, he moved into Sunderland, then he went to Hearts and that, and ended up with Falkirk. In fact, I think he was up the Highlands and Auckland time at the end up. But no, a very good player. But good team selection for the 80s there. Definitely. Great memories. We go back to 87 there when they won the league. 2nd of May up there at Pittodrie. Mo invaded the park and that. I've got to say I was on the park and all. So
put your hand up in the studio if you were on the park.
Oh, I was there.
I had to go to the dentist on a Monday because of you, Ox. Yeah. You booted me in the cup when I had one of the football boots.
We're in Doctor Adder telling the way back. We're all sitting there. The next thing, one of the guys come with Perry Butcher's number 6. He pulled the back of the strip off him. Christ, it was like a souvenir.
Oh, that was a special. What do you reckon? Many bears were up there that day. Was you reckon about 25,000 maybe?
Oh, you were right around the park. There
was thousands
outside. Okay, thousands looked out and all.
Thousands outside.
Aye.
The old beach end was bouncing. Great times, great memories.
And by the way, quite similar to this one. We went there and it didn't matter what we'd done. We needed a result elsewhere and we got it. It was mental, wasn't it?
Aye. Because Falkirk beat Celtic that day.
Aye. Well, if we won it, didn't matter, but they'd done actually. Thinking back, didn't they?
I mean, the argument Sooners get sent off, didn't help things either, but we got there.
Aye. We've been joined by Jaffa. Evening, Jaffa.
Hello, boys. How you doing, Ox? How you doing,
girls? And girls.
Oh, and girls. Sorry.
Hey, Jaffa.
Sorry. How you doing?
What's on your mind, brother?
Oh, I loved that show. It was like the other boys I was saying. It was what a team that was, eh?
Memories, mate.
Oh man, some players in there. Super Cooper, Super Ali. Great boys. That was a great team. Well picked. God, I forgot. Why am I forgetting that lady's name? Apologies.
Linda.
Hi, Jaffa.
Just think, if you come back to the end of the 80s, just think Lasardi.
Oh, yeah,
That's a compliment. Is that a compliment?
Does that help you, Jaffa?
That's easy. That makes it easy.
And you've got a fox there too, Ox. Some fox.
Too many names.
Oh dear. Where do you stand in the Derek Ferguson, Barry Ferguson question that was asked a few minutes ago?
I've got a wee bit of loyalty in the sense that I had the fortune of playing with Derek as a young boy at Burnbank Boys Club. So I saw him at first hand. The closest I've ever got to a pro footballer, and even then he was an unbelievable footballer. Was Derek before he moved to Gartcosh? He was at Burnbank Boys Club, and then I think as we've all touched on, Derek and the Rococo Club in Panama Jacks sort of seemed to get into a personal relationship. So yeah, the rest is history, as I say. But what a footballer! What a footballer!
I mean, I accept it, but potential means nothing. Barry maybe fulfilled it, and Derek never.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with what the boys have said there. I think Barry, probably due to the fact that his big brother probably battled the life and daylights out of him, dealt him know how to do it, and dealt him how to do it, if you know what I mean. That's what goes. That's how it usually happens, isn't it?
I don't do what I do. Don't do what I done. Do what I say. Innit? Aye. What did you make of some of the other picks? Go to you, Jaffa, then JFK.
Yeah, the back line sounded great. Southside and Linda, I think some of the choices. I don't think I had any. The only probably one was maybe was the Jazza Bet one, but that's probably just my Burnbank loyalty stuff. Being a Burnbank boy, but but the rest of the team was ace, spot on.
JFK.
I said at the start there, I thought it was a cracking team, you know. Some of my real favourites for the 80s in the team, especially Mark Walters, Ali McCoy's question mark, and other players. No, overall, it was a great team, as I say. On the Barry Ferguson, Derek Ferguson, it was a longevity of Barry Ferguson that kept him where he was, you know. And I thought he was a tremendous player. His brother Derek was no bad, but Barry Ferguson was immense at times, you know, the way he controlled games. You know, he went on to become a Rangers great. So I love Barry Ferguson, loved him. Brilliant team.
Okay, Alex K.
I was just going to say, I listened to a podcast there recently with Derek, and he spoke about Barry being a good influence on him. Basically, as a youngster, he was getting a wee bit kind of, you know, he was eager to break into the first team at Rangers, and he basically says, "When's your next day off?" Wednesday. Derek was at Falkirk at the time. He says, "I'll pick you up Wednesday." Showed him round about Brockville, a rickety old stadium with standard dressing rooms, standard showers, you know the best of parks, and basically the message was to him, just you be patient, just you appreciate the club that you're at, the facilities that you've got. You're at the best club that you can be. You make the best of your opportunity there. If Derek Ferguson had that older brother there for him, who knows where Derek might have went.
Mm-hmm. Aye.
Yeah.
We'll never know. Well said, mate. Alex, you were sure.
Yeah, that's true. You never know it. Barry definitely proved it at the end up, didn't he? Even Advocat came back, brought the team around a bit. I was out in Leverkusen when they played out there. They beat them 2-0 an hour there, and he was immense that night. Immense out in Germany.
That turn, Alec, wasn't it?
Yeah,
remember
unbelievable, man.
He ghosted the middle of the park, didn't he?
Yep, they all spoke about him. He even played against Bayern, and he played against that Luther Matthias. He'd him by the neck. He couldn't control the laddie. What a footballer he was. But what I'm saying, the Fergusons, both of them had it. That's the thing about it, and Barry just went on to have a better career. But fantastic footballer.
If things could have been different, it could have been two Fergusons. I mean, Ian, Derek, and maybe Durant. Things could have been different, yeah. You know,
Ian Ferguson, what a player he was.
Aye, well, boys and girls, we've reached that time of the evening. Always enjoyed that. I'll just run through the panel. I know you're just in, Jaffa. Give your thoughts, mate.
Brilliant. Brilliant shows. I'm loving them, Ox. They're race, right? Some of the memories are amazing. Even the songs by the DJ are amazing. They're great.
Cheers, mate. Andy Felix.
Yeah, fantastic show again. Right, they've been absolutely great. Been fact good memories. Gets the old grey matter going and all that. Some cracking games, some hard times at the time, but yeah, great. It's great seeing guys, you know, from all different eras, isn't it? Picking their own teams and who they think's, you know, the team of that era and all that. Like, I think we could all pick another 2 or 3 out of the 80s, although we had some bad times in there. But fantastic shows, brilliant, absolutely. Keep them going.
We will. Tomorrow night's the 90s. JFK.
It's not just about picking the team, it's the stories that are run about it. And when Southside and Linda picked their team, they picked it with not just the criteria or what era they played in, but it's the memories it gave them, obviously Linda didn't need to wallpaper her room in that era because it was just posters. So that must have been a good memory for her. She was maybe wanting the Chippendales up in the wall instead of anything else. But no, it's all about memories. It's all about what these players brought us in that era and what Rangers brought us, and it was a good team the guys picked tonight.
Alec Kay.
Absolutely brilliant. Shows I'm loving the mocks here. Everybody reminiscing about the old players and everything. It's just refreshing the memory, and it just reminds you of great times, and hopefully these times are coming back and they're just round the corner for us. So brilliant show again, guys. Keep it going. Loving it.
Alec?
Yep, great shows, great opinions. Listen to everybody in the comments. That was a right good team. As I say, Southside and Linda done, and the previous nights as well. Absolutely fantastic. Great shows.
Southside, and then the last word to Linda.
Aye, mate. It was great memories for myself when I'm thinking back. I mean, like we say, we could all put different players in, but the majority of the players that Linda and I have put in the team, that's the players that I watched going through my teens. And there was good times and bad times. Like we said, there was low crowds at Ibrox, and then they got better, and we've seen the good times under Graham Souness. So for me, it was good to get back through and look at some of the players, and that midfield could play some football, I'll tell you that, in the strike force. So I enjoyed it, mate, and thanks very much for giving us a chance to come on and do a wee stream night.
Linda?
Yeah, really enjoyed it, Ox, and thanks to Southside as well. Great partner. Yeah, great memories looking back. It's just it was a decade or two halves, as we've said, but brilliant. Thanks for having us on, and thanks to everybody for phoning in.
Well, thanks for you two for taking the time and putting it out, and thanks to everybody for taking part and phoning in this evening. Thanks to Fox and Old School Blue for doing the technicals, and we'll be back tomorrow night where we'll be joined by Port Bear and Big Stevie for the drum with our team for the 90s. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. Take it away, Old School Blue.
When the Rangers put 5 past 100, oh Rangers, you got me singing the blues. Well, my car Benny, he scored that first. The beggars fought, it was the first of many, oh Rangers, you got me singing the blues. It didn't take long to realise when Super Rally equalised. Oh, Rangers, you got me singing the blues. Then up stepped Super Ray, it was a 50-yarder all the way. Oh, Rangers, you got me singing the blues. Well, I never felt more like singing the blues than he could not see when Super Alley made it free. Oh, Rangers, you got me singing the blues. Well, the Ibrox fans, they wanted more, but Kevin drank all, he made it 4. Oh, Rangers, you got me singing the blues. Well, I never felt more like singing the blues than Rangers and mine was the oh, Rangers, you got me singing the blues. Well, Ibrox Park, it came alive when the bookmark Walters, he made it 5. Oh, Rangers, you got me singing the blues. Well, Billy McNeil went home that night and he said to his wife that the Celtic are shite. Oh, Rangers, you got me singing the blues. You got me singing the blues.